When we decided to come down here to Brownsville and to Harlingen to take a look at what was really happening with the Remain in Mexico program, I think those of us who came down had a sense of how the program worked and what the parameters were, but I don't think we were really prepared for what we saw once we got down here in terms of the secrecy around the program by the government and the way that due process was being subverted.
We asked them about why the facility was closed, given the fact that the DOJ regulations require immigration courts to be open to the public, and they said, well, it's a secure facility, which of course they've created it as a secure facility so that they then have that argument. Why they didn't move the immigration court off of a secure facility so they could follow the regulations and make this an open, transparent process I think is lost on all of us.
What's most striking to me is just the lack of consistency. A decision that literally is a life and death decision can depend on whether somebody is placed in Remain in Mexico or not, and then whether they happen to be sent to San Diego or Brownsville or perhaps some other facility. In some courts, individuals might be eligible for a bond, some courts not. In some courts, people seeking asylum are actually able to get interpretation of everything that's going on, which is actually what I've experienced in San Diego. And it was perhaps one of the most shocking things to me that there are conversations taking place in the courtroom between the immigration judges and ICE attorneys that are not even being translated to the asylum seekers. They don't know what's being talked about, what's being decided.
Observing in court the way that due process was being subverted for these people was something different. But just as a person, as a mother, seeing the impact of these programs on the people in the camps, the families, the children, it was difficult to see. It was traumatizing to some extent.
There are somewhere around 4,500 to 5,000 migrants living in Matamoros now. Obviously, not all of them are here on the plaza. There's like, hey, ¿cómo está, mamita? There's about 2,100 more or less. Hey, ¿qué tal? This guy right here is the biggest hugger in the entire world, but he's a squeeze hugger.
You couldn't walk through that tent city and not be moved by the people and disturbed by the environment. And that we are doing this to them intentionally was quite shameful, quite frankly.
It changes it to be more like street law. I think that's the best way to describe it. I had to shift the way that I would do intake. I had to shift the way that I would focus my pro bono efforts. I had to shift physically where I would practice law.
I was invigorated by the AILA members that we talked to. Part of this was understanding what they're going through and their ability to continue to adjust, to figure out new ways to confront this system, to deal with some of the ridiculous fictions that are being created. I was certainly inspired by their dedication, by their creativity, by their camaraderie, and I think AILA is going to continue to do everything that we can to raise awareness about this process and to support those members that are here every day fighting the good fight.